got to stop looking at this screen because, it
We're
is.
in.
Is it working?
Oh, yeah, I can see it right here. Meeting is now streaming live.
I'm recording it too.
Oh, baby.
Got to stop looking at this screen because,
We're in.
Is it working?
Oh, yeah, I can see it right here.
I can hear you. We're on delay.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a 20-second delay. So apparently it's I don't know.
We have like that. It's that radio 7-second delay. So if we really screw it up.
Yeah. Okay. Is it working? Boom. All right. I guess it is.
Episode 74, the Jeff Duddy Innes episode.
Yeah. Thanks for covering for me. You guys can really help me.
We got weather. We got consolation. We got playoff picks this week. It's a playoff edition of the pod.
Ready?
It says it's live, but if I click on the link, it says it's been removed by the uploader.
Hold on.
Should we call that from now on? The uploader?
No, there's a new link. I just
the uploader, DeLuca.
Okay, so I just sent a link out to you. Click on
This
it.
is all recording. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a step-by-step process.
Do it live.
Should we start over or we just keep going?
No,
Oh,
I'll edit this out of the final thing, but then it will just be like us going live. Okay, I think we're live.
Oh, we're live. I can see it on my phone.
Okay, and then if you go on YouTube and you click on live, it will show you. It will show you where we are. Okay, I am not going to look at that because God, I am going to go insane looking at that if I try to do that. Wow, we have 2 people watching. It's probably us.
Oh, I'm definitely one of them. It's us.
Hey, all right. Well, cool enough, I guess.
I wonder if it's Mike from Mickey's.
He did say he was going to try to join. Try to do one more. All right. I'm sorry. This is like the worst entrance of all time. Okay. Welcome to Entering Milford, episode 74. A reminder that Entering Milford is available on Apple and Spotify or anywhere that podcasts are available. And look for the link to the live show in the description later and follow us on Twitter. Anything to add to that?
At Entering Milford. And it's not funny. Pete tweeted it.
Why would they look at the live show later? Would you want the live show now?
I guess if you wanted to see us,
re-airing. It's a re-airing.
Yeah, if you want to see a video, if you want to see a clip of the live show, I don't know. Hopefully the first like 6 minutes of dead space isn't it doesn't distract too many people from going away. Okay.
Guys, it's playoff time, baby.
Yeah, what's up, Steve? Give me your introduction. How you doing? Oh my God, I cannot watch
This is the Jeff Innes episode.
Yeah, you said that already. What? Not only in the episode, but in the
great.
past. Yeah.
No, I'm good. Playoff week. Excited to be here to talk. Holiday week. Christmas week.
Are you all set for Christmas?
Lots of stuff. Yeah, we're done.
Good for you. I got to do.
You guys hosting, Steve? You hosting?
We are. And by the way, when I say we're done, that means that Nicole did all of the shopping.
Yeah.
And I just said that looks good.
Yeah.
Who's the rapper in the family, Steve? Who raps?
Certainly isn't me.
Do you rap?
No.
Pete, do you rap?
I can't do it.
No.
That makes sense. I rap. I do the rapping. I do all the rapping.
My
wife wraps my gifts and some of my sons. But
I wake up on Christmas morning and I am amazed that there's presents there too. So I am shocked that it gets done. So
yeah, I'm a good rapper.
I have a question for you guys. Are you guys a presents under the tree before Christmas, or do you put them out and then they will? Do you get what I'm saying? So like their presents prior to Christmas Day under the tree, or no?
Depends on the year. I have previous.
My son's not old enough to know, so we have gifts under there currently. But in years previous,
for those of you children watching, Santa is real.
Gifts from mom and dad, and other uncles and aunts sometimes make their way on the tree early, but Santa's gifts don't show up till Christmas morning.
Oh yeah, no, Santa's gifts can't show up until Christmas morning. I'm talking about
come down that chimney, baby.
I'm talking about the gifts you might give, like from you to him.
Yeah, and just advice for our young fans out there. Santa's not on any diets. He still wants his Oreos. He wants his chocolate chip cookies. He wants his whole milk. All right. So make sure you give him all that stuff. None of that almond milk or just carrots and none of that stuff. Give him the good stuff. Leave him out.
Especially if you watch the Santa Claus, he hates he hates. Remember, he's not
Soy
lactose
milk?
intolerant.
Soy milk?
Soy milk. What is this? Soy milk? You said you were lactose intolerant.
Did they make a new Santa Claus?
Oh, they made a bunch.
There's 3.
Jeez.
Yeah, they have. They also have a TV series now. Just came out.
Good segue. Good segue.
I want to introduce you, and you can talk about your
Favorite
topic.
Christmas movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, 2 questions. 2 questions for you. Favorite Christmas movie, because this might be different, or the movie you need to watch to feel like you're in the Christmas season, because it could be 2 different things, right? Because I just experienced this. I experienced this last night.
I have an old and a new, right? So like my favorite old Christmas Vacation, like I could watch that all the time. I know that's common, but that's easy. But like, how do you not watch Elf and not get into the Christmas season?
Oh God, I have a.
It's been on repeat on AMC every day for like the last 20 days.
Every day.
I have a shocking announcement that I've never seen Elf before. Even with
Oh my
kids.
God, how?
Yeah, I don't really like Will Ferrell, and I've never.
Okay, you don't like fun.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rumors. He was a sports information director a long time ago, and there was bad rumors about him, bad vibes. I didn't like it.
He was
he
was like a sports journalist major at USC. That's what sport broadcasting major, something like that. Yeah.
So anyway,
how about that thing he did a couple of years ago at spring training?
The Dodgers.
He went around he went around
Arizona,
one day to
Arizona League. Arizona League.
Yeah, he went to like 8 teams in one day.
Played 9 different positions.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
he did it as like a fundraiser or something like that for charity.
When I see the Frosty the Snowman or that really poor Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, it's like claymation.
The claymation stuff.
Whenever I see those ones, I'm always like, oh, it's Christmas. But the best Christmas movie, if you guys have never seen it, is Office Christmas Party. I highly recommend it if you have never seen it. It is not a movie for kids. It is
not any good.
It is a very funny movie. And the night before is also a very funny movie with Seth Rogen. Yeah, hilarious. Yeah. You got to check those movies. I mean, they're dumb. I would not advise.
I would say that those 2 movies might be Christmas themed, but they do not withhold any like Christmas spirit type elements to it. They're just
no, not at all.
Comedies during Christmas time or holiday.
That's what Comedy Central is doing right now. They're showing everything but Christmas movies on Comedy Central.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that. All right, where's my notes? I'm googling.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody out there.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for joining us this week, which I think is the hardest week in fantasy football to prepare for, with injuries and weather and playoffs. And I mean, there might only be a few managers left, but I think the elements make it a lot harder. So we are going to get into it. We're going to do a preview. We are going to maybe be joined by Mike, which heard that before. So who knows if that guy joins. I guess last time as soon as we ended the podcast, he called my phone, which I ignored. And then he told me his plan he was going to FaceTime in from while driving home.
I've done that.
Yeah. You also won the league. So it was,
I need it. Yeah, I think I told you, Pete, like, hey guys, you got to let me on. Like, I need this.
Earned it. Mike was just going to be like, what up? I'm driving. Huh? All right. I'll let that one go. All right. So let's talk about the previews. Let's start with that. Oh, wait, you know what? We should do it. We should start with the weather, right? I don't have the email in front of me. I should probably do that first. I don't know why I write you guys notes and then I don't refer to it.
I got it right in front of me, Pete.
Good for you. All right.
Ready
so
to roll,
nine games, Pete.
This is probably the roughest start to a podcast I think I've ever had.
This is up there.
Yeah, keep those eyebrows under control. All right, jeez. All right, so there's a crazy amount of games that are expecting bad weather. I can run through them all, but I wrote them all down in this email because it's impossible to trace. Impossible to track. 9 games you said there were?
9 games. There's 9 games you wrote out that have weather as an impact this week, which is crazy. It's like the whole country.
All right. So if you're paying attention to fantasy football at this point, you probably know what the games are already. Please don't let me be the one that informs you. But I basically want to know how this is going to affect strategies. Steve, as a playoff team going against me, you can keep it close to the vest if you want. But I was going to give my opinion of how it affected me. And I wanted to know, Mike, how it would affect his team and how Casey thinks it would affect Andy's team. Maybe we could just kind of talk about it as a whole. So the big game that I saw was the New Orleans against Browns game. Yeah. That was supposed to be the one that was like the Armageddon of snow. You cannot have anybody that's in it. It doesn't affect me at all. but I can see that affecting maybe like who would be in that game? Kamara. That was DeVito. You have that. Is that you see that as a positive for Kamara or negative?
Well, the positive for Kamara is that he does not have anyone behind him. The only guy that's behind him right now, since Mark Ingram is hurt, is David Johnson, who fumbled in the red zone this week.
David Johnson's on that team.
Yeah, he's the backup running back there.
Like the David Johnson, like the
David Johnson. Yep,
not just
the guy who was a fantasy stalwart for 2 years and then died off. So that game is calling right now for a real feel of -18, sustained winds of 20 to 35 miles an hour, gusts up to 60.
Oh.
So if you have any Deshaun Watson, I think there is nobody that has Andy Dalton. Any of those receivers. So Chris Olave is not playing, so that actually helps Spates. You have to worry about it.
Is it a Taysom? Is Taysom Hill a sneaky play? That's I think would be a
sneaky play.
So the reason why I'm okay with this being like this is they're going to have to run the ball. You got to run the ball. So it's one of those games where the volume is going to be there, but everyone's going to stack the box.
Yeah.
I'm sure a short passing game, so that helps with Kamara, right? You're not going to throw the ball downfield, so getting the ball out of the backfield if they do throw it. Screen games and/or running the football, so I don't think it hurts them that much.
Are you going to play him, Steve?
You going to play him? Is it going to affect him?
As of right now, I am. Yeah.
Oof. I think
the only way I'm not going to play him. It's not going to be like a blizzard there. It's just going to be like snow showers. It's not going to be like what it was in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. Most of these games actually, so it's interesting. Most of these games are not going to be affected by like rain or snow. It's going to be more about the wind. It's going to be really, really cold across the country. So I want to take this, Pete, if you don't mind. So I took a look at some of the weather. So obviously tonight's game is.
What have you been doing for the last 2.5 minutes?
See, I knew sending him the email at 9:00 in the morning was a bad. He has dug in.
Well, we talked about this. Whenever you send notes, that's when I'm the most prepared.
He's ready to roll. Yeah.
Hey, Pete, I know I've been talking for the last 2 minutes, but I'm going to take this from here.
I'm taking it. I'm rolling.
This is cool. So, I got the rock, kid.
I know you mentioned 9 games in this, but there are really only 3 that are going to be heavily affected.
Okay. Wow. No, which 3? No, this is. I want to know which 3.
So the Houston Tennessee game is just going to be cold. Like that's and if you looked at the statistics about cold weather, wind, and rain. Yeah. Any game that's affected by cold weather, there's only been a maximum amount of change of 2 points in average in the last 5 NFL seasons. So it really isn't
good research.
What is it? Wind? Rain?
Wind and wind and any type of precipitation. Like Seattle, Kansas City, just going to be cold. You don't have to worry about that. Cincinnati, New England, the weather around here is going to be cold, but it's not going to be gusting wind. It's going to be like 10 to 15 miles an hour, which is nothing. So what is everyone? Atlanta, Baltimore. There's light wind. I don't think that's going to be a big deal.
I'll tell you right now, nothing about this weekend in Baltimore screams that there was going to be like you can't play a football game. Like I heard like drizzly. Yeah,
right. It's really not going to be that bad.
Okay.
Vegas and Pittsburgh, that might be the coldest game of the weekend outside of what we just talked about with New Orleans and Cleveland. At kickoff, the temperature is supposed to be 2 degrees, and I know David Carr was inserted into a manager's lineup today in the consolation round. And if you look at his record in the cold weather, it's pitiful. It's like Zach Wilson style.
His record overall stinks. He stinks.
Yeah, but his numbers are putrid.
9 a.m.
Buffalo and Chicago. So I think the games that are going to matter, tonight's game, Buffalo and Chicago, and then the New Orleans and Cleveland game. So Buffalo and Chicago is calling for cold and wind gusts over 50 with sustained winds 25 to 35. So that's going to affect the passing game.
That's like that Buffalo Patriots game last year. That was sustained winds 25, 35 miles an hour.
Honestly, though, I think if you had either of those quarterbacks, though, if you had Fields or Allen, like I'd still roll with them. They're probably going to be even better matchup.
Absolutely. Montgomery becomes a pretty decent play now because they're going to have to run the ball, and Buffalo hasn't been that great against the run. Singletary becomes an interesting play.
Not anymore.
So, but the New Orleans, Cleveland, Buffalo, Chicago, and tonight's game are the 3 that I think are going to be the most affected by any type of weather.
Wow.
Um,
Your internet just-
I can back Steve up on this because I know from a lot of my NFL insiders that wind is the biggest factor. Snow, rain doesn't play as much, but wind is the number one factor that affects gameplay. So I'm with Steve on this.
But they say that when you look at it, anything that's really greater than 20 miles per hour sustained. If you're 10 to 20 miles per hour, it makes no difference in the world when it comes to throwing the football. Once you get sustained 25 plus and gusts 40 to 50, that's when you have issues.
Yeah,
Dude,
affects the kicking game a lot. Affects the kicking game a lot, which that will deal with over and unders and all that type of stuff, which is not for this pod. No
I'm telling
kickers.
you right now, as a former person that had to put on football pads, I hated when it got wet. I would take wind all day. Forget rain was the worst, but wind, no problem. We're wearing pads anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to. So Steve, we got a lot of takes from you. I had to make a couple different takes. I heard about this Carolina game being a little crazy in Detroit playing outdoors. I got a little gun shy with Goff. We can go into that a little bit further when we talk about the previews, but that was one thing that I was considering. And then this was really kind of a game that I was rolling the dice with. I thought that Kirk could make a difference before it started raining, but here we are. Casey, what's your take? What do you think? Do you think there's any matchups that could affect Andy? You think Tennessee is something he could consider? And why don't you give your thoughts on Mike too?
I think Steve mentioned it. The Seattle Kansas City game is huge for his matchup with Mahomes and Kelsey. Seems like it's just cold. Those guys be able to play through that. I don't know if you guys saw this. Derrick Henry in his last 5 games against Houston has carried the ball on average 28 plus times and has been over the 200-yard mark in 3 of those games. So expect a huge day out of Derrick Henry, which has been the key to Devere this year. So, and I'm glad I said it before he logged on.
As a live stream.
Hi, Mike.
I know you're watching
No
it.
idea.
Did you guys see my note? I just hit the note on the live stream.
It's on delay, I think, Mike.
Yeah, it's a 20-second delay in the thing. Ready for daddy.
Ready for daddy? Guys,
Where are you, buddy?
I'm in my basement. I didn't turn my other lights on.
Oh yeah,
I was
dark.
I was too rushed to get down here.
Dark and ominous.
My kids are still awake. It's okay. Who sets?
Are you in playoff mode?
My life is playoff mode. Who sets the Disney on Ice schedule to be a 2-hour show?
Yeah, that's late too. How many kids were aren't there kids under 5 there?
It was pretty full. Well, apparently not every town in Connecticut has school tomorrow, so I think a lot of people didn't have. My kids do. I don't really. But my kids go to bed whenever the hell they want. I don't really care. What I miss, everyone?
First swear on live stream.
What I miss, everyone?
HE double hockey sticks.
Nothing really. We started talking about weather.
Weather.
Your turn to talk. You making any changes to your roster based on the weather?
A little bit. The only game I'm really worried about is my Detroit Carolina game. I made a lot of roster moves this week.
Great transfers. Yeah.
I made a lot of roster moves this week. So the only guy I'm worried about on my team is, do I play DJ Moore or do I go with a guy like Deion Jackson? Only because I don't know if it will change the modus operandi, but it will certainly make me think about my roster in a different way. I honestly think the only way I can beat DeVita is if somehow that Kansas City game is a monsoon and there's excessive winds and Mahomes can barely throw the ball, but he doesn't hand the ball to McKinnon. It's just an Isaiah Pacheco game. That's my only chance.
Nope, just cold. Mike, you missed it.
So
Just cold up there.
Carolina's playing Saturday, correct?
I don't know.
Yeah, 1:00.
Mike,
Yeah,
you're not going
that's
to go down with Deion Jackson.
10 to 15 mile per hour winds and sunny. That's not going to affect anything in that game.
Deion Jackson got me a win earlier in the season, buddy. So I like Deion Jackson.
Did.
Well, I must have heard a different weather report because I heard it was going to be bad in Carolina too. So I benched Goff and I was going to go with Dak just because he's in a dome and I was going to roll the dice with that one. So maybe I'll double check that one and see if that
does does Hurts being out affect your decision on Dak at all or no?
Yes. Also the timing of the game, which we can get into more in the previews. But the timing of the game I think is very interesting, which I'll get into a little bit more.
The only game I'm really worried about, and I don't even know the score, so I could be totally shooting myself in the foot, is this game tonight because it seems like it's a mess. Connecticut's a mess right now.
13-3 Jacksonville at the half.
When you say only afraid of, you're only afraid of Detroit and Carolina, and now Jacksonville and the Jets.
Well, I'm saying
are there any other only games that you're afraid of?
I'm saying the only game that I'm worried about in my lineup was Carolina Detroit, but I'm not as afraid. The only game I would have changed my roster is this game.
I know, guys. I think I'm going to boom this week.
It made sense.
Okay. All right.
There's an obvious boom this week.
All right. Let's talk about the weekend, the week preview, the playoff preview. Let's go with that. Yeah, I don't know. It's like week 16 sounds lame. So let's talk about the playoff preview. It's the let's do the consolation round first.
Yeah. Let's talk about those guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're gonna have to have a take on those ones too. So all right, so these guys will be joining Casey pretty soon. They are Spates and Darian and Innocent Breen. We could talk about this stuff rather quickly because I didn't really see anything that crazy. There was one thing that I noticed that was kind of cool is that people that win the consolation bracket 2 years later, they tend to win the Super Bowl, which is kind of weird.
Steve, you a year ahead?
Who won it 2 years ago, Pete?
So hold on. 2017, I won the consolation, and then I ended up winning in 2019. DeVita, he ended up winning it in 18 and 20, and now he's in kind of a pretty good position. And then Innes won it in 19 and then won the Super Bowl in
21.
Yeah. So it is kind of crazy. So
DeVito won it last year, so he's a year ahead, or is this going to break a trend?
He's going to win it next year. He's going to win next year.
Go ahead.
Might affect my pick tonight. Go
ahead and take my next bullet. Steve DeVito won it last year. So here he is. The consolation bracket tends to be a little bit of a launching pad. So let's.
What if you come in 10th?
Hey guys, my hair looks pretty good tonight.
You do look very good. I look terrible. I gotta comb my hair. And
Pete,
my favorite thing is I love the blurred background. Like
we got your Christmas card. Pete, we got your Christmas card today. Easily the best Christmas card of the season.
Really? I didn't even know we sent one.
We're really gonna talk about the Christmas card that Pete sent.
Sorry, so sorry. I forgot. So sorry.
I think she said. I think my wife.
Pete, can you spell DeVito?
Yeah, baby, I know, but don't get me started.
He knows how to spell it correctly.
Yeah,
DeVito.
Pete, what's your wife's maiden name?
Sanders.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, she's got her cousin Dion is nice. What?
I might have told this story on the pod before, but I grew up on Calvin Drive.
Yeah.
And the street perpendicular to Calvin Drive was Di Vittorio.
And you told us this.
My wife, whose last name
DeVito Rio.
You literally told us like the last pod you were on.
I didn't. You never told me that before.
Thank you.
All right, let's do a preview. Seeing as we are what are we? We are 19 minutes in and we are not talking about anything. All right, let's go. Let's preview our first game.
I love how Mike talks about Calvin Drive and Di Vittorio to the 9 people that are from Milford that listen to this pod.
DeVito Rio. It's Steve. Hey, my brother-in-law's listening to this tonight because I was with my sister-in-law. She's like, "What are you doing tonight?" I was like, "I'm live streaming a podcast."
What were you talking about?
And now they know. Now they know.
Sheila's last name is DeVito Rio.
Mangle.
Wait, what did he say? I don't know.
When Mike first brought her to Milford off Calvin Drive, the connecting road, Di Vittorio, she said, "Oh, it's DeVito Rio."
Oh, okay. I missed that whole story. All right,
they mispronounced it. Our wives who. It's okay, Pete. Case told me I told the story, so I wasn't allowed to say it again.
Awful.
I think you literally told it like last week.
No, it wasn't last week. I wasn't on the show last week.
With the live stream,
my wife's maiden name is Powell.
Interesting. With the live stream, you can lock it so people cannot come in once the room has started.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we might do that.
No, leave it open.
7 people are watching us. That's weird.
Oh,
wow.
This is terrible content for them.
Let's get to the game. All
right.
DeVito, so what's your wife's maiden name?
Long time. Yes, go ahead. Run with it.
Wait, your wife's maiden name's a long time? How have we never known this?
He's scared of
Tine.
Wait.
You know this. Can we go to the games?
Yeah, legitimately, no one cares. All right, so now let's talk about something else. No one cares.
Nicole, long time. That was
long time.
Kaleli, I'm gonna kick you out, Kaleli, if you keep talking. All right,
I'm back.
The Darian swept Spates this year. It was in week 2. It was 162 to 112, and in week 11 that was 158 to 111. Christian is 6-2 against CJ in the regular season in the last 5 years. Christian finished 4-1, averaging 145 points in the last 5 games. CJ finished the year 1-6. He was averaging 131. So tale of 2 different teams. Christian's average margin of victory during that time, though, was only about 14 points. So I ask you guys, Darian, Spates, what do you think? Casey, I'll go to you first. You're not fooling around in the back of the class.
He picked up Derek Carr, one of the cars, not a winner. He's missing his big guy. That's basically he's rode all year. His big guy, Jalen Hurts. I think he's down his guy. Probably not going to have enough. I like Spates this week, and I think it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. So I'm going to go with Spates to break the trend.
Woo, Spates with the win. Any superlative or no? That would be an upset.
Yeah, we had to pick up. We have 3 superlatives in 4 matchups, huh?
Yeah, you got it.
I'll do Spates as my upset, right?
Oh, all right. That was a very pleased moan I just made. Steve, how about let's go to you.
I'm taking
Get me back
Spates
under control, buddy. Throw some water on this lap.
I got Spates as my upset as well. Spates is my catapult out of the consolation bracket this year.
Why so much love for Spates?
Wait, what?
Can we have Mike pick?
Hold on, everyone be quiet. Mike is like the ultimate speed bump. Mike, we just talked about how people that win the consolation go on to do better things. He just said that he thinks CJ is going to be the one that gets springboarded. Go ahead, Steve.
I think Spates has the chips, and I think he's got some good young talent. And considering Mike has been on him all year, I feel bad for Spates. And I'd like to give him some love. I did it on Tuesday. Going to continue to do that for Spates.
All
I
right.
like him this week, and I like him to win the consolation and move on next year.
That's your upset?
That's my upset.
All right. Mike, you've been on him all week. All year. It'd be a weird time to not pick him. Are you going with him in your picks or no?
I was making that face because I thought before I joined in the 15 minutes, you guys created the catapult category. And DeVito's like, he gets my catapult of the week. I was like, what the hell is a catapult? Darian is a sham and a joke. And Darian should feel disrespected personally for the performance he tried to pull last week. For someone who had the opportunity to win their way into the playoffs, was a joke the first week, and then came at 2 guys in the league who are the utmost respectful people. This dude has no chance this season. He is a disgrace to what fantasy football is.
Our ratings are dropping.
He has.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I'm relatively sure that Mike was also crowning himself right there as one of the more well-respected in the league.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
This is not on par for one of the nice guys in the league.
Are you joking that I got muted? The dude called.
He's just too much. It's just too loud. And
I'm leaving. All
right. Good one. See you later.
I have not had the chance to defend myself when Darian accused me of trying to throw a week.
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll get to it. This is like your pick of Trevor
I just did, and you muted me, bro.
You're ranting. You're filibustering. Go ahead.
Spates is my upset. Spates is my lock. Darian's a joke. The dude had a chance to win his way into the playoffs, and he came at Innocent Eye. Have some respect for yourself. Have some respect for the league. I'll take Spates, lock, upset. Darian's a joke. He tried to pay DeVito to win a week, and then he came at Innocent Eye because he couldn't win a game.
Hold on. He didn't try to pay me. He asked if I would throw it.
Yeah,
he contacted him. Steve did not reply.
He reached out.
What's the difference? What a joke. What a loser move.
For those of you that saw the updated podcast cover today, the only person to reach out to me and compliment was Christian, who said, this is hilarious. So I'm going to pick Christian. He's going to be my my pick. And screw CJ.
There's been a lot of love to Christian from you recently.
I like Christian. I have no problem with him.
I have some evidence. I have some video and audio evidence that would speak to the other side of it.
I also like Christian.
I'm an emotional human being.
I think
new year.
What he did was the epitome of cowering. Like, come on, man, just win a game and you're in the playoffs. Don't try to come out of the guys. Can't stand.
Don't worry.
You can't pick a guy or expect a guy that lost to me twice.
I can't say that I lost to Christian twice.
Oh, what happened?
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't come in 10th though.
I mean, the way
next game.
Honestly, the way I see it, he was almost a playoff team. So it kind of seems weird that he's going to the consolation and everyone thinks he's going to lose. I mean, he was almost in the playoffs. And if he was in the playoffs, he would have been a harder team to beat than Kaleli's. Sorry.
I don't agree with that. My team's better than Darian's right now. He's playing 3 guys tonight. I haven't looked at the scores, but like, it's pouring rain. He's got 3 guys tonight, and And Pete, the Cleveland New Orleans game is the lowest over under of the season, and he's got Amari Cooper. Herbert's back. Hurts is out. I think he's in trouble. I don't.
All right. We'll get to him. I
like it. Like, we're spending a lot of time in the consolation bracket.
Oh, relax. You got somewhere to go. Go throw up. All right. So let's talk about the next game. It is the number 6 seed Ennis against the number 7 seed Breen. It is
speaking of throwing up.
Yeah, I know. This one will make you puke. Get your wife in the room. All right. So Ennis and Breen, they are split the season series. Kevin is 6-2 against Jeff in the regular season since 2017. Both teams had 1 win in their final 3 games. During that time, Ennis averaged 119. Breen averaged 126. Who wants to go first? Chloe, you look like you're dying over here. Go ahead. Ennis, Breen, you got.
I have one question. It's going to be my pick. Steve, is Chubb playing?
Yes.
Breen's my pick.
He was taken off the injury report today.
Breen's my pick.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
All right.
Nicky Chubb.
All right. So you got any superlatives? That seems like a lock. Oh, you already used them all.
I used my lock and my upset on space.
All right. Who wants to go next, Brett?
Yeah, I'll take Kev as well. Ennis I think is quit. I don't think he's even trying this one. He's got Lamar in there. He's not going to play, which means he's going to go to Ritter, which he has to play based off his defense on Tuesday about that guy as a future asset. So I'm going to go with Kev.
I'm about to text the league and say Ennis must be throwing he must be throwing the consolation bracket if Ritter's in the game.
You using your lock on that one?
I'm using my lock on that one.
Awesome.
I feel like the safest bets for superlatives this week are in the consolation bracket, Pete.
Really? I didn't really look that closely at these games, so I'll take your word for it. Steve.
Neither did I. I just looked.
Steve, what do you think?
I'm taking Breen. He's got 3 really nice matchups: Waddle, Chubb, and Dobbins. 2 run-heavy games, and Waddle's going to go off against Green Bay. I like Breen.
Wow, big Waddle.
Are you using any superlative now?
I am not. No.
Oh, all right. Thank you for the complete sentence. You know what? Breen looked really good, and that last week that he had, he like almost boomed, right? Like he came close to booming last week.
Yep.
So I think he's hot, and that's a 7/6. So that's about as daring as I'm going to get for my upset of the week. I will take Kevin.
Nice. Mind you guys are tied for with 2 weeks to go here. A lot round these picks.
Why'd you tell him? I was hoping that he wasn't going to pay attention. I was trying to.
Steven bears down on the picks.
Should we pick who we think scores more points? Case or Lloyd is another tiebreaker for this week, or
I'm going to boom this week, Mike.
It's in the past.
I worked the waiver. Case is going to be over 200 this week.
I worked the waiver wire yesterday. I'm freaking ready to go.
You did. You had an aggressive waiver wire. I agree with that.
Well, Casey, will you set a lineup just to watch it? Just to
it's set. It's set. And you know who's in the lineup, Pete?
Going for it. Who?
Gus Bus. Let's go.
He might as well be at this point. Ride that one into the ground.
Yeah.
All right. So we all got Breen sweeping Ennis. So that would be an upset across the board.
Ooh, pod sweep.
Yeah.
Pod sweep.
All right. Championship game. Championship this year. We are talking DeVita against Kaleli, DeLuca against DeVito. What a bunch of guineas we got. So I was looking at the last couple of years of all of the people that won it. Nothing really impressive about the group. Majority of it is won by me, Breen, and Darian. But if you really if you look, I thought that one thing that was interesting was that where'd Casey go? The one thing that was interesting is that we haven't had somebody win back-to-back championships. We haven't had anyone win back-to-back championships in a while, which was about 14 straight seasons from what I've seen it since Breen won it back in 05 and 06.
Wow.
And of course, last year's champ, Jeff Ennis, will be playing in the consolation round, losing to Breen, according to all of us.
You know what this is?
No, what is it?
Jing.
Oh, yeah, Jing. Jeff Ennis is not good. So anyway, Jeff is Jeff in the consolation round ensures that we're going to have a new champion for the 15th straight year. All right. Pretty good. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the first game. DeLuca. Dun, 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 versus the number 3 seed DeVito. You guys ready for this one?
Ready.
Ready.
All right. Championship playoff picks. First round. We can do the whole thing if you want later, but first round only. I beat Steve in our early matchup this year. It was week 9. It was 159 to 127. I am 5-3 against Steve in the regular season in the last 5 years. I finished the year on a 7-game winning streak, averaging 147 points. During that same time, Steve was 2-5, averaging 134 points. Hi, Steve. All right, Casey, you seem to have the straightest face. What do you think? Give me your 2 cents.
So what I did, why I wanted to move on from the consolation bracket so quickly is I actually done some deep dive today.
Take the rock.
Playoff teams.
Tito,
yeah, I'm gonna take the rock.
rock.
I'm not going to speak for 20 minutes and then take the rock from you. I'm going to start right now. So
Take 2 and then 20.
The interesting thing about this matchup, right, is with these two franchises, one has been to the playoffs a lot. Pete, I think you've been there 11 times.
Well,
right?
12
times. Well, this would be your 12th.
Oh,
this
wait,
would be
let
your
me
12th.
no. Let me oh, is it?
You want to do that?
Yeah, I have the playoff. I have the postseason things. I'm sorry, I forgot to read that. You want me to say that?
You might steal my thunder, but go ahead.
No, you
Just
go ahead.
Well, I think this is your 12th appearance coming up, right? So I think up to this point, your 12 point. Steve, on the other hand, has only been there 5 times. So this is his 6th time. So we're dealing with something that's basically been doubled up. However, Steve has cashed in more often in terms of his time being there, right? He's 3-2 in his previous 5 matchups in the first round. The crazy thing about him is that he's actually averaged less points than his opponents in the first round, which is wild. For a guy that's been good, he's averaging 105 points while his opponents are averaging 106 in the first round matchup.
Now, hold on, though.
What a
The
deep
one
dive.
thing that you're not putting into play in this, but hold on, the one thing you're not
my
putting
mind
into
is
play
blown.
on this.
No, I'm with Casey.
The scoring system has changed.
Doesn't matter.
Sure, absolutely, Steve.
Right.
It absolutely we're not that is skewed in one way. There's one time we were 330s, other times we were much lower than that. But on average, in your first round matchups, you are still scoring 1 point less than your opponent, but you have a 3-2 record up to this point, which is crazy.
Can I pick Case to win a game this week? This is incredible. Way to go, Brian.
Which is awesome. That segment.
Now, did you take those notes from Christian?
No, I came with this myself.
No, this is all him. Don't denigrate. Go, keep going, Brian. Mute DeVito. Why do I get muted? DeVito's interrupting great
Because what he just said is the exact same thing that Christian said to us.
He's got some. Hey, Casey's got some free time on his hands. He's been utilizing.
Case, click the blue tab.
Case, you're doing great, man. You're doing great.
So going into this matchup, okay, 7-4 versus a 3-2. Pete has dominated his opponents. Steve has scored 1 point less in his matchups. Pete's getting off to a slow start with the risky Kirk play. It's not paying off for him. I like Steve's upside. I like Steve's depth. And with all this weather that's happening right now, the guy that I think has the best bench security, bench depth, is my man Steve. I think Steve's up for it. I got DeVito this week, taking Pete down finally.
Finally?
What? Did you say like you were 7-0 in your last 7 or something?
5-3. I mean, I don't know if that's a finally.
No, he's won 7 in a row this year. Is what
that's what I said.
Can I get each of your perspective on the roster you currently have in? Do we think this?
Casey, are you using any of your superlatives? No, Steve.
Not on this one. No, not on this one.
All right, Mike, you want to go next? Go ahead.
Can I get your guys' perspective on?
Don't
your
worry
roster?
about that, Pete. I keep track of that stuff.
I don't care who goes first, but is this your roster going in, or is there? And Pete, I think yours is probably a little more interesting because if Kirk continues a rough game, do you switch someone out to go upside, or like, is this the crew? Is this the roster I'm looking at and who I'm picking for?
Yeah, this is the team. I'm not doing anything else.
Steve,
I'm debating.
Don't fall for it.
But highly likely this is.
Say that again, Steve. You're debating what?
I'm debating one spot solely on weather. It's the Kamara spot, but it's likely going to stick as is.
If you took him out, who would you put in? Andrews?
No, with Jackson out, I'm not playing Andrews. I think they're going to go run heavy again. It would either be Elliott or Kittle. And the only reason why I would go Elliott is because with Hurts out, I could see them getting a lead and running the rock.
Yeah.
And then Kittle with Washington. The only reason why I don't like Kittle is because Washington is really good against the pass with tight ends. But
Kittle leads the team in targets since Purdy's been quarterback.
Yes.
Look at this guy.
This kid, he dug deep. Did you guys see the clip of Purdy's dad crying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
My wife is a sucker for parents crying at athletic events at their children. So whenever I see something like that, it's like it's an automatic to Casey DeLuca.
Did you guys see the Commanders thing?
No.
With the guys making the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I watched that. That was awesome.
Special teams guy.
Special teams guy. I love Ron Rivera. Quick tangent. I'm going to make my pick in this game. So I think we're going to look back at last week, so week 15, and DeVito's winning over DeVita as potentially the most important unspoken outcome of the week. Because we recall, if DeVito had lost that game, DeVito's actually the 4 seed, and DeVito would be playing DeVita in round 1. And I think anyone's going to have a hard time beating DeVito this week.
That wouldn't have been the case. Even if he came back and beat me, I would have beat you in points.
Well, whatever. Whatever it is, I think DeVito's team's locked and loaded. I think Steve's team is hitting its stride at the right time. I'm worried about the bottom of DeLuca's roster. I spoke last week. I didn't say I love Tyler Lockett. I said even though Pete called me out of the pod, I said we did not speak highly enough about Tyler Lockett because I think he was
about him at all.
And then he got hurt.
I think he was the 7th receiver in fantasy before he got hurt last week.
Yeah,
and was probably a stalwart in DeLuca's lineup. And I think with Pete not having him this week, I think it's a tough hill to climb. And DeVito has a couple nice matchups. I think Kamara is a lock to play this week. Cleveland's run defense is bad, and I'm taking DeVito. I think DeVito
Don't
wins
play him,
this one.
Steve. Don't play him.
I think DeVito wins this one, potentially going away. I like Steve's team this week.
You like him enough to lock him or no?
I pick Spates. I pick Spates for my
trying to
lock
help the podcast. All right. No.
Do you guys know before you guys pick in your own matchup, do you guys know that you two have never squared off in the first round of the playoffs ever?
Yeah.
That was another D'Adarian tidbit. Well done.
Did you read D'Adarian's email?
I don't think so.
That was
I feel like I'm back in Mr. Perry's economics class right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Or Mr.
Darian texted it, but no, that is very odd, especially for two guys that have been in the same league for 20 years. When you kind of look at the years too, he won on off years where I wasn't there. It's kind of interesting. Steve, do you want to go first, or do you want me to rant?
Whatever you want. You're the host.
All right, I'll rant.
Typical DeVito deferring.
DeVito wins the coin.
Bill Belichick. I defer to the second half.
You're the quarterback, baby. Let's go.
Coin toss and defers. I haven't really looked at Steve's team, so I'll just give you a take on my team because I can't control Steve's team. I went with Dak over Goff because I was scared of the weather. I think that Dak might be able to do well. I think that playing on Christmas. When are they playing? They're playing Christmas Day or
Christmas Eve.
They're playing Christmas Eve at 4:25, which is, I think, going to be a big time. It's going to be about 50 million people watching them. Philadelphia doesn't have their starting quarterback. And if Dallas doesn't want to punctuate that win with a couple of Dak Prescott touchdowns, I don't know what's going to happen. So I figured it was a better bet than Goff, who I thought was due for a stinker. Thanks, buddy. I don't really feel that strongly about anyone else. The final decision on the roster came down to Devin Singletary at Chicago or Christian Kirk tonight at the Jets. And I figured I'd want to lean on the risky side and play the highest scoring people. So this is the riskiest possible lineup I could put in. I figured I needed a big number to beat Steve after his 193 last week. So I put it together as best I could with Kirk blowing it. I think I might even pull out somebody else and go riskier. So we'll see what happens. As a result, I will pick myself as the boom because I'm going to need it to boom to do this. So just following the trend of risky plays and having them go off. It's going to happen one way or another. So here's hoping. So I'm going to pick myself as the boom. Steve?
So there are a couple things I looked at in this game. There's two things that actually that genuinely scare me in this game. Pete has, if you look at the weather this week, like we've talked about, Pete has 5 guys that are playing in a dome this weekend.
It's intentional.
And you never, at the beginning of the year, like, draft based on or make a, maybe you make those trades if you're eyeing at the playoffs to see, who's going to be playing where and what the matchups might be, which is something that Pete has said that he's done all the time. So I'm nervous about the Prescott Pollard potential stack because I do envision Pollard finding a way to get a long touchdown here from Prescott.
I think
Mike Evans
in order to beat you, truthfully.
You had your time. You had your time.
I'm complimenting him. I think that I would need the stack to hit in order to beat Steve. So I don't love it, but I agree with him.
Sanders doesn't scare me as much because I don't think he plays the same role with Hurts out. Because Minshew's not going to be a run. So the RPO that they've been running with Hurts and Sanders, which has allowed Sanders to have some open lanes, I don't think is going to be there as much for him. So I like that. Evans scares me. I've contemplated all week whether or not to play Burrow or Brady. Now the risky play would be to Mike. Stop shaking your head. The risky
Brady
play
stinks, dude. The Bucs stink.
The risky play is Brady, and I'll tell you why. Brady playing Christmas Day, prime time, 8:00, in a game that he just got embarrassed in at home last week against an Arizona team that is putrid defensively. He's going to come out and he's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdown passes. I'm going to say it right now. He's going to throw 3 or 4, and I'm petrified the 2 of them are going to go to Mike Evans because they're going to throw the ball downfield all night.
And at the risk of Casey, what the heck was that? At the risk of Casey yelling at me, I can pull back the curtain a little bit. That when Steve and I were talking trades a lot of the times during the year, I wanted this matchup a lot. I kept reaching out for Brady. I kept trying to get Kittle. I kept trying to do these things from him, assuming that I was going to play Steve DeVito in the first round of the playoffs. And Steve, to his credit, held strong. He said, "I am not trading Tom Brady to you. I'm not gonna deal with that on week 16." So, props to you, Steve. You held out.
So Burrow's going to play because Burrow has just been he's a top
MVP
quarterback. And the Patriots have struggled a bit recently, and I still think Burrow's going to get his due. The risky bet, if something happened tonight with Kirk, so I'll be honest, if something happened tonight with Kirk, if Kirk ended up, here we are in the third quarter, if he had a big night, I was going to contemplate switching a surefire bet in Burrow getting around that 18 to 20 and risk Brady maybe only being at 12 to get a higher number. Not to say that this still can't happen here tonight, but I've honest to God, I've gone back and forth with the stack of Godwin and Brady to try and take away from Evans. Anyways, I love Dalvin Cook this week against the Giants. The Giants have given up 155 rushing yards a game, and Minnesota is at home. Dalvin Cook might have a massive night. I like Keenan Allen on Monday. I think, Pete, for you to win, heading into after Saturday, you've got to have a pretty substantial lead. Because I have James Conner Sunday, Godwin Sunday, and I have Keenan Allen Monday night.
Oh, I didn't even look at that. I was just hoping
if it's tight after Saturday, if I somehow find a way to keep this within 20 points on Saturday, I think it's over.
I love it. It's like a chess match.
It really is, because your roster, if you showed people that had no idea, right? You just showed them the names that were here, they'd be like, oh, my team with the names are going to win. But I think Hurts being out doesn't help AJ Brown. Right. The only thing it's going to help is Minshew loves to throw the ball downfield, and AJ Brown is their downfield threat.
Well, are they going to run more? Give it to Sanders?
No, they're not.
I think they are.
They're going to be behind. So, Mike, you said to me that Kamara is a lock.
Yeah.
You don't think Elliott and Kamara would be comparable, considering the news now that Hurts is out?
Don't go off me. I don't know anything about fantasy football.
No, I'm genuinely asking what you think.
I think Cleveland's run defense is awful, and I would try to play running back. My only issue with the Saints is I don't know if Kamara is going to be their top running back.
All right, who cares what he thinks? DeVito, give me your pick.
He asked me a question.
Don't make me play him on. I'll play the orchestra right now.
Yep. So I'm going to take myself. I don't think I have to boom to win, but I cannot score 134 points, as you just stated in the averages. I think the magic number in this is 150. 150. Score more than 150, you win.
See who gets there. And right now, Christian Kirk is not doing that for me. You know what else is, I think, a pretty magic number is 5 to 2. That is the number of titles that Steve and I have compared to the number of titles in the other matchups. So the big leagues we already previewed. Let's get to the minor leagues. Davida and Kaleli in their matchup. One more here. So crack those eyelids, Casey. Dust out those last yawns, Kaleli. Pay attention. Number 1 seed Davida is playing the number 4 seed Kaleli. Andy swept Mike this season. It was week 5, 231 to 123. And week 14, it was 159 to 171. Mike, you are still 6-2 against Andy in the last 5 years, but you were 6-0 coming into this season. So he slapped you around. Andy swept the league to start the year, but then went 3-3 down the stretch. Mike, you also went 3-3 down the stretch in your last 6 games. But your average was about 30 points less than Davida at that time. It is a 21-year review of the postseason. I think this is Davida's 8th time being in it. If I
Case
had to
knows.
Yeah, Case knows. He has never. He's only the one-time champion. It was in 2001, which I think is the earliest one that I could actually record. Kaleli, I have you as a 12-time, but I want to double check that with Casey. And you are a 2010 champion. You guys haven't seen a Super Bowl in a decade and a half. So
since the marriage bells rang, buddy.
All right. Well, let's start with DeVito. Let's get you out of the way first, because I don't know if I can take another one of those.
Mike was my pick to be the Super Bowl champion, but I just don't love the matchups, and I think Kyler being hurt is really going to hurt Mike. I have Andy. I think his matchups are really good. Derrick Henry against Houston. Case talked about this earlier. He's averaging over 30 carries and over 200 yards against them. He's a monster against Houston. It's going to be really cold there. They're not going to throw the ball, and they're without Ryan Tannehill.
The Derrick Henry himself, I guess a lot of people are just booking their place to the finals. Can Andy afford to not really can Andy afford to not pay attention to the weather because he has Derrick Henry?
Yeah. I mean, I know he's got Diggs and a terrible weather matchup in Chicago, but the rest of his matchups are fun. I'm going to take Andy. I'm going to take Andy as my lock and my boom.
Oh,
sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Woo, that one stings. All right, Casey, let me get your take first before we go to Mike.
My deep dive on this one is these two guys played each other back in 2006, and in that matchup, Andy beat Mike, and Mike no-showed the thing.
Wait.
He no-showed it. I think the score is 114 to 57, something like that.
Steve, is this the Dave and Buster's year?
Yep.
So call this the Buster and Dave's year. I have Davida. I have Davida as my boom. I said the only way to slow down Davida is if I picked him to win the whole thing. So I'm picking him to win this week. Let's see what happens. I got Davida.
So Pete, if you recall, I think it was 2006. Yeah. I had Sean Alexander and Steven Jackson. My team was loaded, and it was a Saturday night game. Davida had Vic, and DeVito kept. I was at Dave and Buster's for my birthday, I think, Steve. Yeah. And Davida had Vic, and he kept texting me on my flip phone. Vic scored. Vic scored. Vic scored. And Vic had like 60. And then I'm like, this is it.
He calls me after the 5th touchdown. He goes, I don't want to hear anymore. I can't handle it.
Stop.
I don't want to hear anymore. Stop talking.
He asked me for updates. He said, hey, I need you to keep me updated. After the 5th one, he said, I don't want to be updated.
I was like, hey, Steve, I'm going to Dave and Buster's. Keep me in mind.
You want me to go first? Wait, I want to go before you.
Go.
I want you to get the final word on your team. When looking at this matchup, seeing as we're both on Andy, right? Steve, you're on Andy as well?
Yeah.
All right. So when I was looking at this one, I started with Andy's team first. First of all, you're starting Jones, Kaleli. What's wrong with you? But when you look at Andy's team,
my roster's not set yet. Just so we're clear.
Okay. Derrick Henry, he's going over 202 touchdowns a game against the Texans. That's like starting 2 running backs in one spot. I think that Diggs is gonna do poorly. I think that Kansas City might not do well, but I think Jones Aaron Jones is going to be the one that has a big game with what's his name hurt, Dylan. Anyway, I'm rambling. I think Davida booming is the solid bet here. I think that he could just start Derrick Henry and maybe keep 2 or 3 blanks out there and still score. So Andy, boom, see you in the Super Bowl.
I think to beat Davida, I have to score 200 points.
Wow. Okay, so you think you're going to lose?
I think I'm going to lose. I don't actually think I'm going to lose because I think Andy and I will score more points than you and Steve. So I think Andy will be the top point scorer in the playoffs, and I'm going to be number 2. I don't mind my matchups as much as you guys do. I haven't figured out my quarterback play yet. I don't mind playing against Minnesota in a dome. Their defense stinks. Their secondary stinks. I think DeVita has some awesome matchups this week. And Henry versus Houston is one. I think Kansas City it's going to be a total shootout against the Seahawks. I have a hard time seeing anybody beating DeVita this week. I haven't looked at the matchups next week. I feel a little better about my matchups than you guys do. Tyreek hasn't had a big week in a while. Devonta Adams hasn't had a big week in a while. If you had told me Colt McCoy was active, there's a world where I would have picked myself. I think I can get to maybe 160, maybe 170, but I think DeVita is going to hit 200. DeVita is my boom pick. It's going to be hard to beat DeVita. This is one of the best teams we've had in this league in a long time, but DeVita is my pick. I think DeVita is my boom pick too. His team's loaded right now.
If you weren't going to play DJ Moore, who would you play?
Mostert might go in still. Mostert's in. Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson will be out of the play.
What is your thought on Barkley in Minnesota? Do you think that he is going to or no?
I like the Minnesota Giants game. I don't think either defense is all that good. I think they can score a lot of points. I like that game. This is what I'm saying.
Nope. What the heck happened? Oh, what?
Frozen.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's a wonderful time to freeze.
So, Pete, there's one thing I was going to ask Mike.
I think you raising your hand might have froze him.
The Tyreek Hill being projected to score 30 when Derrick Henry, with his history against Houston at 20, seems a little off to me. And I was going to ask Mike to say, I love that he's completely frozen.
It's our scoring system. Derrick Henry doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah, they don't project.
Yeah, I know. But Devontae Adams at 21, after what I said about Carr earlier, is another thing. I can't get over looking at his frozen.
All right, hey, we got to go. Casey's parents are there. I can hear him.
Yeah, just to confirm, Pete, you picked yourself to boom and DeVita to boom, but no lock.
Oh, let's make Andy the lock.
Okay.
All right. We'll get back to Mike later. All right. What else?
Hi, John. Hi, Diane.
My parents aren't here.
Oh, who's here?
It's my brother, his wife, and my nephew.
Oh, that's right. All right. So let's put a bow on this one. We all got Andy. We'll follow up with Mike on who he's got.
He picked DeVita to boom.
DeVita to boom. Okay.
Yeah. So he's still really good. Really good by himself.
I literally could not pay attention. All right. One thing I wanted to say to him, but he doesn't give you a second to say anything, is Devontae Adams' birthday. He might get a birthday touchdown. So, there it is.
Here it comes.
There you go. Welcome back. What a disaster.
My internet just literally shut off. I don't know what happened.
We saw your face frozen for a while.
Steve was going to ask me a question. Go ahead, Steve.
Mike, are you aware that it's Devontae Adams' birthday? He might get a birthday touchdown.
No.
Yeah, keep an eye out. He's born on Christmas Eve. All right, wrap this thing up. Give me a Sunday rewind.
Sunday rewind.
Steve, you were going to ask me a question. What were you going to ask me, Steve?
No, he's good. It's too long. Goodbye.
He's going to ask you off air. Sunday rewind. In the consolation bracket, Spates versus Christian. Pete is lone Christian. Me, Steve, and Kaleli are all on Spates. Important to note that DeLuca and DeVito are on different matchups there. So that's a key matchup for our pick'em. In the Breen matchup, we have everybody sweeping in us. Breen sweeping in us, so everyone's on that one. In the DeVito versus DeLuca, we have the same thing, 3 versus 1. Pete is by himself, on himself. Another matchup the two of them have separate from each other.
Woo,
and in the last one, we have a DeVita sweep. So we have 2 sweeps and 2 2x2s with Steve and Pete being different in those. So we could have a tie going into the last week, depending on how those matchups shake out. So come back on Tuesday for your pick recap.
Steve, I could ruin your whole weekend. All right.
Why did I just get muted? I wasn't even saying that.
It's like tradition now.
Yeah.
I picked Case over.
All right. So guys, everyone have a great weekend.
I picked Case over Lloyd.
I'll beat Lloyd this week. I'm booming this week.
All right. All right. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas to all. Anyone want to add anything before we go?
Yeah. Do you guys know that 2022 was the best year ever in the franchise of the Blue Bloods and the Orchids?
Oh, no. That's pretty good.
Still reading that blue. He's reading the blue tag.
Good thing you didn't bet again. Good thing you didn't bet $100 against them.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Merry Christmas.